Okay? Now, that doesn't mean if you're going to have a salad, you can have your salad first. Or you have your salad with your meal. My patients learn a little different. We have salads between meals, or we have it as snacks, because particularly women, we like things that are cold and chunky, and we want to nosh. So that's a good thing to do. So the way I teach people to eat is a little bit different, but this is a general knowledge. If you do this, you'll notice a big difference. Getting a good digestive enzyme if you have a problem, and finding out what type of digestive enzyme you need is very important. Some people need more of one thing than another. So these are things you really can't do on your own, but you can get at least a beginning. It's better than taking something off the counter that's going to be injurious to your health. So I hope you've got that. On the screen I have the food combining to try to make it as easy as possible, and there's always variables. But I think what most people don't understand is that sugar is sugar is sugar. I have a friend of mine that has said that, boy, when they put me in the ground, that's what they're going to be. My epitaph is going to say, sugar is sugar is sugar. Because most of us really don't know, and it was such a shock to me in the learning process, that it seemed like everything was sugar. No wonder I got fat. Even the things that seemed to be good for me made me fat because they turned to sugar. Concentrated proteins and fats, you can eat those with your grains, your cereals, your vegetables, your whole grains and breads. Now when I say breads, we're not talking about white enriched flour. We're talking about stone ground. We want to make sure, if in fact you can have bread, some of you don't know whether you should or shouldn't, but if you're going to have bread, make sure it's stone ground. Read the label. A lot of things will say wheat or natural on the outside. That doesn't mean that it has the right kind of wheat or it's natural. You've got to get in the habit of reading labels. It's extremely important. So those two things you can have together. For example, when I talked about food combining, we talked about, let's say you had your fish, your chicken, and you had your vegetable with it, or your baked potato, which isn't on the chart. You can't have everything on here, but you can have that together, okay? And for a long time I couldn't eat even those things together because I had issues. I was allergic to eggs. Of course, I ate them all the time. I didn't know I had allergies. I didn't know I had candida, which is rampant out here, believe it or not. I've seen more people walking around with medication, and they've got candida, and we'll talk about that at a future show. But I want you to understand what you can have together and what you can't have together, and you're going to be the best judge of that. And if you go and buy a really good, the best you can find digestive enzyme, start with twice as much as what they even say on the label, because what they say isn't necessarily what's in there anyway. If you're not having a problem, keep dropping it down, dropping it down, dropping it down, until you get to that level where it's working for you. And a lot of the products that are in the store are not terrific, but they're better than nothing, and they're better than taking some of the things that you have thought about taking just because you have indigestion and they are advertised for the masses. This isn't the way you want to go. Try to keep natural things in your body. If you're cooking at home, buy foods that have no antibiotics in it, no pesticides, no herbicides. Don't eat chickens that are eating their own feces. How healthy can that be? And they're given shots. Let's just try to think a little bit and don't say, well, gee, it's more expensive. Yeah, but what is the junk you're eating? What is that costing, and how expensive is it to your body? So remember what I've told you today. I'm sure you won't forget it. Make sure that you try doing a little bit each week to make some changes. And any of you that are listening that have children, this is really my heart. If you can get the kids to start eating correctly and not being addictive the way you are, boy, we'll have a healthier tomorrow. Right now, what I'm seeing just in my own practice with kids is sad. And it's just because of not knowing how to eat and not knowing or not being willing to take the time to feed your kids properly. You are willing to take 9 months to have them. Isn't it worth some time to make sure that they're healthy? Invest in them like you invest in yourself. Let's talk a little bit about, we know that pastries and cakes and sodas and pastas and things all are high sugar. And they turn right away. They're going to make you fat. They're going to give you indigestion. There's no question about it. Our bodies were never made to eat this type of food. It's processed. Our bodies were made to eat whole grains. And I dare say there's some of you listening to me right now that have never had stone ground bread. The thought of it. And I know some of you women may have taken home some, better pastas. They thought they were wheat pastas, and your husband has said, oh, this is so chewy. Do I have to eat this? You say, yes, because I love you. And if they don't want it, make sure you increase your life insurance at your every anniversary so that you have a lot to play with when they're gone. Because health is something you have to invest in every day. This isn't funny. You know, I try to make it light. But if you see some of the things that come, situations that come through my office, it's not funny. Just because of diet and our lifestyle, and I'm talking about people in their early 40s to 60s. This is young folks. This isn't old. We're not just talking about, gee, people coming in because they want anti-aging. I mean, I'm talking about diabetes and arthritis and aches and pains and perimenopause and menopause and prostate issues. And you know, the fellas won't come to me until, you know, something drastic happens and they think that they're going to have a surgery. Well, maybe I should go and see her first, you know, because at least she doesn't do surgery. Well, you know, I'm trying to get people to understand that health is preventive, and it's no different than making your mortgage payment or putting money away every week. You have to do the same thing with your health. So let's get back to food, my favorite subject. You know, so you change your pasta, change it to something like rice pasta. People say, gee, there's such a thing as rice pasta? Absolutely, and they're all shapes and sizes. And you know, I know a lot of you women make your pasta and you boil up your macaroni or whatever you're doing, you put it on the plate and then you put the sauce on top. I wouldn't even like it that way. Let me give you a hint that really works well. After you've made your pasta and you've made your sauce, stick the pasta into the sauce and let it simmer a while so that the pasta has a really lovely flavor. It softens it up and it's really good. And you won't have any complaints from your kids or your husband. This is something that you can do. It doesn't cost any more money out of your pocket. It's giving you good health. It's just a start. Remember, a lot of the pastas and things that are out there are going to turn to sugar, are going to give you problems. Okay, you can put your meat in there too. And when you put it in seal-a-meal bags or whatever kind of bags you use, you have food always. I'm really big on teaching people, all my patients, I've taught them not only how to cook, but how to cook and make it fast. We cook once a week. That's it. Dirty the kitchen once a week. And if you're smart, do it before the cleaning lady comes. If not, at least you only have to clean once, and life can be easy. You have all your vegetables ready. You can use your crock pot, use your rotisserie. Get everything ready. Make sure there's a lot of food in the house. And make sure you're taking that food for lunches. If you figured out what you spend a week on eating, and not the meals so much eating out, I'm talking about your lunches. I'm talking about your fancy coffees and your sodas and all this other. You're going to have enough money to come and visit me and get the right kind of supplements and feel good. If not, you're going to wait till you're sick and then you're still going to have to come. So I'm trying to give you some handy hints to keep you healthier. Okay, so what we want to do is make sure we're eating correctly. So let's start with breakfast. Nobody wants to talk about breakfast. Oh my God, I don't have time. Well, I don't know about you, but I know God made 24 hours. And in 24 hours, the president runs the country. I do what I do. You go to work, you take care of your kids, we do all these things. It's being called organization. You have to have time to eat. You have to have time to do some exercise. Remember, exercise is a stress reducer. You don't have to get nuts. And if you're a couple or a single gal, why not start and take a dance class? Why don't you make this fun rather than say, oh, I don't want to go to a gym, I don't want to wear tights, I look too fat. I'm telling you the way I used to think, so I'm real honest about all this. But if you take a dance class, it could be fun. Look at the new people you'll meet, the new avenues of life. And if you're single, I mean, maybe you'll meet the right person, and hey, that'll be great too, and I get to go to a wedding. Try to think of life as a little bit more fun. Everybody takes it so serious. Everything is a major trauma. That's because you're not thinking good, because you're not feeling good. And most people are really not sick enough to go to a doctor, but they're really not well. And that's what I'm trying to get you to understand. So in the morning, if you do nothing less than get a good protein drink into you, and gee, what's a good protein drink? Well, I don't use anything that one gets in the store, to be honest with you, so I wouldn't mention labels anyway. I know what I have that I give to my patients and what I take myself because I know where it comes from.